Well, what an incredible day of Test cricket we've seen from Perth, where the Indian cricket team has finally completely imposed itself on the hosts Australia. As things stands at the end of day 3, Australia need 522 runs to win the Test match. Unfortunately for them, they are already 3 wickets down in the second innings with the score reading just 12 runs. To talk about how India have managed to go from a team that got wrapped up in 150 runs in the first innings to being 487 runs for 6 declared in the second. We have our colleague joining us from Chennai, Venkata Krishna, and we also obviously have Veerabai giving us the day's biggest news from Perth. Sriram Veera is our man on the ground in Australia covering the Border Gavaskar Trophy. I come to you, Venkat, let's just get in Veerabai. Veerabai, we were kind of hoping for you to set up the scene for what has happened through the day. Can you just maybe help us with your dispatch from the day from Perth?
It was Perth, Australia, but it felt absolutely like India. The weather, the pitch, the match situation. You knew India is going to come and score big and set a big target for the visiting team within courts, and they're going to crumble, get a jolt right before the stumps. It was that kind of a day that's exactly happened, even though crowd was largely Indian, in so much so that Josh Hazelwood was asked by an Australian journalist, and he said, "Mate, we are used to it now. Wherever we go, it's home in largely Indian crowd, so we're just used to it." So it was that kind of a day, and everything fell into place. Probably just one thing: KL Rahul didn't get his 100; he missed out, but Jaiswal started off, set it up beautifully. For a young guy, he just knew that what kind of pace he had to go. He had to hit few runs, 4 boundaries, to set it up. He has to move propel India forward. And then when Virat came, there was a slight blip, you see. The 2 wickets have fallen. Then Rishabh Pant got out, trying to attack. And then Kohli had to sort of drag it back a bit to ensure that, you're not getting suddenly faced a situation where you're getting bowled out or something. Because the best thing for India, the ideal thing for India was to bat through the day, to allow the cracks to open up, to get more variable bounce come in. For that, India had to play till late into the final session. So he ensured that, and he played it since he judged it beautifully, and he did exactly. This is kind of what is technically is known as a waiting day in Test cricket, where you sort of wait, everything is going to happen, and he played it beautifully. And once it is ready, joined him in the final session, and he went for it. Nitish Reddy and Kohli joined in. By the time Australia had given up, irregular bowlers were bowling, Manas and Travis Head and stuff. And it was a great knock by Kohli. In a sense, his old some landmarks were visible. Swat flick, that wristy whip that he does, which is sort of almost faded out a bit in the recent times. That was comes with the spin. Nathan Lyon had packed the onside field and almost, short mid-decade, short legs, short square leg, French square, but all that. And Kohli still kept going for his wristy flick. He knew what to do against paces. There's no problem. Everything flowed, and he also beautifully reached in 100, which is the 30th Test ton. It's the 7th 100 in Australia. He's got 9 against Australia. This is 7th in Australia and 2 in India. Everything was perfect for India. And then those 3 wickets, Bumrah taking 2, and 20 minutes to go, Australia decided to send Pat Cummins as a night watchman. That didn't work out. So 3 down. Manas Labuschane's form is being heavily questioned as well as batting. Australian media is turning on the heat there. Steve Smith is left. We'll see him tomorrow. He scored runs, but not as much as in the recent past, but not as much and as frequently and as consistently and as, confidently as he has done in the past. So his thing will be interesting how he goes about it. And here's something Josh Hazelwood said, it seemed like Australia was given up, because he said, well, the things that you can take, if a couple of batsmen can reach 80 or 100, and we can bat a bit to tire out the Indian bowlers a bit, because this is a long series. So that is the kind of takeaway even somebody like Hazelwood is hoping for. But we have seen crazy things just like that from the first day. But it looks mighty tough for Australia and for India, from being 150 all out in 4 hours, then to have this dramatic turnaround where, everything is topsy-turvy. They're on top is quite a stunning achievement. And let's see if they can finish it off tomorrow.
All right, that was the voice of Sriram Veera, our man on the ground in Australia, who's going to be traveling with the Indian cricket team for all 5 test matches throughout 2024 end and 2025 start. So 45, 50 odd days that he's going to spend trailing the Indian cricket team. It's going to be an exciting series, judging by whatever we've seen so far. Venkat, what sort of a day has it been in Perth?
Just terrific. I mean, we expected India to dominate the day, didn't we? Because they were calling the shots at the end of day two and day three, the moving day test. India were supposed to kill the game. I think that's what they have done. And yeah, I mean, they did it in their own style, isn't it? They didn't like do anything extraordinary. They just like went about doing the job in the manner they are supposed to do. Be it Jaiswal and KL Rahul starting off on again a strong note, and then Jaiswal converting essentially into a big one. And then there was like, I mean, there was a slight hiccup in the middle, but again, Virat Kohli came, and then probably that was that 100. I think that was the icing on the cake, didn't we? Because for us, Kohli's 100 means a lot, isn't it? Because considering where he was, the form he was in, and what it means to the rest of the series, I think this century will do a world of good for Kohli and to his confidence. I think he will come, he'll be like even more charged up going into the next 4 tests. So yeah, it's just like the perfect day that India wanted. And then in the end, with Jasprit Bumrah, when the ball was like keeping low, the odd delivery was keeping low, it was like everybody was like expecting Washington Sundar to play a role because it was like the pitch was taking turn and stuff. But come on, man, our pacers, they are like very, 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 very greedy fellows. You know, right? Be it Bumrah or Siraj, they're like very greedy. They're like, hey, why should we leave it to spinner? Even at home, they don't. These days, they don't leave it to the spinners. Yes, the New Zealand tour was an exception. Just leave. Let's forget that. But before that, they have been like even not letting Ashwin and Jadeja do all the things. So in Australia, I don't think they will like tell the spinners, hey, listen, you guys just chill, hit in the 5 leg or the third man. We'll do all the hard work and we'll reap the rewards. Just like one of those days, like perfect day. I can't like recall such a near perfect day for India anywhere in Australia in recent times.
Yeah, near perfect day. And I think you said that, our bowlers are kind of greedy folks. We've had Bumrah bowling his heart out in the first innings. And now we are already seeing him pick up 2 wickets in the 2.2 overs that he's bowled. Insane bowling from Bumrah as well. I mean, that ball to Sweeney and again the Labuschagne wicket, surely, but the Sweeney especially. I mean, a debutant getting that sort of a delivery and then,
Yeah, that sort of a delivery, and that too of Bumrah. Man, Bumrah, even for experienced batsmen, they struggle to pick him. So Sweeney, I don't think he stood a chance. Actually, it was just about time, and then he got like real snodder. Like, and then talk of, but delivery to Labuschagne, what was that? I mean, he made him like really, really like amateur over there because I think he completely played. He was expecting the ball to go on a different line, but it was so close to the. It was like pitch so came around on the started off in the system channel and just came in. So yeah, that's what Bumrah does, right? I mean, easily by far the best bowler we have seen. I believe in the Indian fast bowler we have seen. Just keeps enhancing his reputation with every inning, every time he gets the ball.
Yeah, and I think talking about the best ever, I mean, arguably
Yeah,
the
Amit, I just want to just add a bit of it, just because the auction is on. We just saw Rishabh Pant get become the costliest. I'm just wondering how much would Jasprit Bumrah would have got if he goes in the auction.
right.
I
Yeah,
don't know,
absolutely.
priceless.
Yeah, I mean, like 90% of their auction revenue on one player, and then maybe just put 10, I think, upstarts next to him. He could still win, right?
Possible, of course. With Bumrah, everything is possible. Nothing is beyond him.
Bumrah hai to mumkin hai. All right.
There's something else going on, right? Jesse, hey,
Oh,
that
is it?
old Sony thing going on. Yeah, there's this old Sony some shows there, so
Oh,
which I'm not familiar with.
do you mean Jesse koi nahi?
Yeah, Jesse koi nahi. Yeah, correct. See, but
Oh,
even my Hindi is improved because of Jesse.
oh, wonderful. But Venkat, before we wrap up today's episode, I think for Kohli especially, the return of the sword flick that we saw from him, or whatever he's kind of done today, he in fact went past Tendulkar for the most number of centuries by an Indian in Australia. I know you mentioned that, for Kohli, this century would have mattered a lot. But for India, this century matters maybe even more.
Definitely, Amit. I think it matters because this batting unit, let's not forget, they were looking very, very fragile in the against the New Zealand and as well as in the first innings, right? So for them to have this sort of a knock from their lead batsman, it's like phenomenal because see, we have like Rohit, Shubman Gill, Jaiswal, KL Rahuls, but there is nobody who can play the dominant sort of an innings like Kohli does in Australia. And as you mentioned, like it's not surprising that he has managed to have more centuries in Australia than Sachin Tendulkar because from the time he toured there for the first time in 2011, 2012, he has completely looked one among them, right? Isn't it? He hasn't looked like an Indian at all, like in the sense like with his aggressive nature and his strokes and everything, this attitude. He has looked completely at home in Australia. So that is one of the key reasons that he has like done so well in Australia. Yes, the last tour he didn't get a century, but he just played a one inning, one test match actually, and then was run out in an unfortunate manner. But 2014 tour, he was exceptional. 2018, he was again exceptional. And now again, he started off on a very, very strong note. Like, let's not forget, even in 2014, when he started on a strong note, he went on to have a really, really good series. So I think, like, yeah, with the conditions expected to like slightly improve, I think he will be like even more bankable batsman for India. And also, this is where I think Kohli also just got the luck he needed, I guess, because by the time he came, the bowlers' attack was already tired. He just had to do what he has supposed to do. And then that's what he just had to turn up. I think that's what Kohli did, I guess. He just like was able to just pace his innings without worrying about anything. And then once he got out, he was just like exceptional. There was even a lovely duel with Nathan Lyon, which he sort of managed it like, I mean, not just managed, he just like defended with aplomb. So it was just good to see all along. So hopefully this is start of like the second win, or like let's say like it turns out into a big tsunami of sorts.
Right. And what's even more dangerous is that maybe by the second test, we'll have other players coming in. We'll have Rohit coming in. We probably might also have Shubman coming in. I don't know how they're going to fit in those players, considering the performances that we've seen from some of the other players. Even the debutants, like you had, somebody like a Nitish Kumar Reddy who's shown his batting chops. On his debut. It's a decent innings, like not he's not been too flashy or whatever, but then he still pitched in with like 38s and 40s and all of that. So all around, I think once the second test starts, then we have maybe slightly bigger problems just to try and figure out who fits in, who does not fit in.
Definitely, because Nitish Kumar Reddy, he looked like really, really good. Looked the part, isn't it? Like be those. Yes, he played just the cameos, but even in the first innings, that was like a very courageous innings, and even the second innings with declaration coming around, he played a nice little cameo.
Yeah.
So all of it, I guess, well, like and then again, he's let's not forget he's a seam bowling all rounder, and he will provide the much needed balance. So it's like better to have happy headaches rather than just counting like number of fit players we have in the team. Like we did last time in Brisbane, right? We just managed to put 11 together. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's always good to have like a plenty of options to choose from.
But Venkat, just one thing I wanted to add before we wrap this up. I think it's very funny. You mentioned, that when since Kohli has come in, he's looked like one of the part of the Australians. Like he's looked like the Australians we thought about when we said the word Australian cricketer. We had a particular typical Australian cricketer, right? He was whatever the Australian word for Khadoos is, I guess. They would probably go out of their way to make your life miserable on the pitch. They would, give you death stares. They would sledge you, things like that. Kohli is kind of that guy who would never back down from a confrontation, even though that mold of Australian cricketer seems to be dying itself in Australia. You look at all the Cummins and all of these guys of the world, these are all like I don't know. I mean, it's almost like the era of angry young man in Australian cricket is ending, and the era of the chocolate lover hero is kind of it's experiencing that era in a sense.
Totally, Amit. I think I would agree to it. I think post the sandpaper gate, I think one thing that Australia have done about is like just carefully go about the
Image.
how they go about the thing. So that's how I think these guys like fit in perfectly. Life's role models, like be it Pat Cummins, be it There is Marcus Stoinis as well in the limit over setup. There is Mitchell Stark. All these guys, even the banter between Mitchell Stark and Nitish Rana, it was like fantastic, isn't it? It was just like a friendly reminder. It was not like the usual aggressive tone that comes up. So I think a lot has been possible due to the IPL. So it's like just coming along, right? Like you said, like nice. I think Pat Cummins already has a huge fan following over here. I think going forward, you would see the same with a lot of people, like a lot of Australian players, I guess.
I think David Warner's, there's a subsection of people who follow
Yeah.
David Warner on social media just because he
Yeah,
posts.
there is also people are saying David Warner could feature a player cameo in that Pushpa 2. That's what
Yes.
the Twitter rumor will suggest. So
Yeah.
there you go, man. That's how it's
Being a good guy in Australian cricket does pay off, I guess.
Of course. Looks like us, these guys.
Maybe not on the cricket field anymore, but then at least off the field.
Of course.
Well, but on that note, I think it's time to wrap up today's episode. We'll be back tomorrow with, hopefully, news that India has already won the first test and taken a 1-0 lead. For all the latest coverage of the India-Australia series, please head over to theindianexpress.com. Please check out the newspaper where, I can't say this enough, I can't stress this enough, Sriram Veera, our man on the ground in Australia, writes some insightful pieces. We also have a lot of people, including Venkata, Sandeep ji, who write a lot of pieces analyzing stuff from the series. So please do check out theindianexpress.com, and hopefully tomorrow will be the final day of the first test. On that hopeful note, this is me, Amit Kamath, saying goodbye. We'll be back tomorrow for more. Thank you.
You were listening to Express Sports by the Indian Express. This week's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by me, Shashank Bhargav. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.